Beneath your skin lies an untold secret, a fountain of youth hidden eternal. Not in potions, not in gold. It flows silently within your body. Ancient masters whispered of its power. Taoist sages guarded this sacred flame. Alchemists called it life's primal elixir. Science now begins to glimpse its truth. Sexual energy, creation's purest essence. Not only to birth, to transform. To renew flesh, sharpen mind, ignite spirit. Imagine energy rising like a golden river, flowing upward, nourishing heart and brain, turning mortality into radiant vitality. The body as a living temple, each breath, each pulse charged with light. Immortality, not eternal life, but renewal. A secret buried by time, rediscovered now. What if youth was not lost? What if time could bend? Within you, the power to transcend. The secret is not outside, inside. Before we continue unveiling these ancient secrets, don't forget to support this journey. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next chapter of this hidden wisdom. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Source. Deep within the human body lies a secret, hidden not in bones or flesh, but in currents of energy flowing silently. This invisible force has been whispered about in ancient texts, revered as the source of vitality and longevity. Unlike external remedies or costly treatments, it is self-generated, renewable, and infinitely powerful. What if youth was never lost, only forgotten? The journey begins by unveiling this inner fountain. For centuries, cultures across the world spoke of a primal essence that sustained life beyond food or breath. Taoist masters in China, yogis in India, and mystics in the West all pointed to the same mystery. They observed nature carefully, trees that thrived for centuries, animals that conserved their vitality, humans who radiated strength late into life. They concluded the key was not outside, but within. This essence became the foundation of their wisdom. Modern science has begun to catch glimpses of what these sages knew intuitively. Hormones, neurotransmitters, and bioelectric currents reveal that the body is not just matter, but energy in constant transformation. Sexual energy, they taught, is the most concentrated form of this vital power. It is both creative and regenerative, capable of building a new life or renewing the existing one. The forgotten source is the bridge between biology and spirit. Sexual energy is often misunderstood, reduced only to desire or reproduction. But in ancient traditions, it was seen as sacred fire, the original elixir of life. Left untrained, it flows outward, dissipating into momentary pleasure and loss of strength. Guided inward, it becomes a river of light that ascends through the body, awakening the organs, clearing the mind, and strengthening the spirit. The forgotten source is not lust, but transformation. The Taoists called it Jing, the essence of life stored in the lower abdomen and kidneys. They compared it to a hidden treasure, a pearl guarded within the body's depths. Each careless release of this essence was like spending gold coins without thought, leading to weakness and premature aging. But when preserved and refined, it multiplied, nourishing body and soul. This was the science of immortality, practiced in silence. Legends tell of masters who aged slowly, their faces radiant, their eyes bright, their bodies strong well into advanced years. They were not exceptions of chance, but students of energy. By recirculating sexual energy, they reversed decline and cultivated inner strength. They became living proof of a forgotten truth, that vitality is not consumed by time, but drained by neglect. To remember the source is to defy decay. Imagine your body as a living laboratory, designed to refine and elevate this essence. Each breath, each heartbeat is a tool of transformation. Within this temple lies a furnace of power that can fuel creativity, clarity, and longevity. The forgotten source is not mystical fantasy, but a biological reality waiting for discipline and intention. Your body is more than flesh. It is a vessel of light. The sages warned that ignorance leads to waste. Excessive indulgence, uncontrolled emotions, and unbalanced living cause the essence to leak away. Over years, this depletion manifests as fatigue, illness, and premature aging. Yet the same energy, when conserved, becomes medicine. It regenerates tissues, strengthens immunity, and stabilizes emotions. The forgotten source is not just survival, but the path to thriving. This knowledge was never widely shared. It was reserved for disciples who had proven patience, discipline, and respect. The risk of misuse was too great, for untrained handling of such energy could lead to harm instead of healing. In secrecy, lineages passed down the practices of cultivation, generation after generation. What was once hidden behind temple doors can now be revealed to the world. The forgotten source is returning. Today, as modern life accelerates and drains human vitality, the call to remember is stronger than ever. Stress, distractions, and shallow pleasures leave people exhausted and disconnected from their essence. But the ancient key is still here, waiting to be used. To awaken the forgotten source is to reclaim control of time, body, and spirit. It is the first step on the path to inner immortality. Chapter 2, Ancient Alchemy. In the misty mountains of ancient China, Taoist masters observed the cycles of nature with infinite patience. They saw rivers that never ceased, trees that lived for centuries, and stars that burned without exhaustion. From these patterns, they drew the conviction that life itself held a hidden key to longevity. Their laboratories were not built of stone, but of body, breath, and spirit. These sages spoke of Jing, the vital essence stored in the kidneys and lower abdomen, regarded as the foundation of health and life. They described it as a subtle treasure, invisible yet undeniable, fueling growth, reproduction, and vitality. Preserved and refined, it became the seed of transformation. Lost carelessly, it diminished the body's fire and hastened decline. Thus began the art of guarding the essence. To the Taoists, this preservation was not repression, but refinement. Sexual energy, the most concentrated form of Jing, was revered as sacred fire. Directed outward, it created life in another. Directed inward, it renewed life within. They called this process internal alchemy, the conversion of raw essence into higher states of energy. It was both science and prayer, experiment and meditation. They taught that Jing could be transformed into qi, the vital current that animates organs and blood. With further refinement, qi could rise into Shen, the spirit that grants clarity, intuition, and serenity. This ladder of transformation was the secret stairway to immortality, not eternal life in flesh, but a body radiant, a mind sharp, and a soul awakened. Legends speak of hermits who lived deep within caves, practicing these arts in silence. Their eyes glowed with youthful fire, their skin seemed untouched by age, and their strength surpassed that of men half their years. To common people, they appeared as myths, but to their disciples, they were living proof. The path was difficult, but the reward was vitality preserved beyond ordinary limits. Parallels emerged across distant cultures. In India, yogis described ojas, the subtle nectar born of conserved sexual energy, capable of awakening Kundalini and fueling illumination. In the West, Hermetic philosophers spoke of transmuting sulfur and mercury, symbols of masculine and feminine forces. Though languages differed, the essence was the same, the refinement of vital energy into spirit. The alchemical texts were filled with symbols, metaphors, and codes. Dragons curling around pearls, cauldrons heated by hidden fires, rivers flowing backward toward their source. These images concealed practices too sacred to be spoken plainly. Only those who showed discipline, patience, and reverence were initiated. To others, the writings seemed like riddles, veiling secrets in allegory. The Taoists described the body as a furnace, with the abdomen as the cauldron where essence was heated and refined. Breath was the bellows, intention the flame, and sexual energy the raw material. By guiding the energy upward along the spine, practitioners nourished the brain and spirit. The result was clarity of thought, strength of body, and serenity of heart. In their secluded temples, these adepts developed entire systems of movement, meditation, and breath to support their inner alchemy. Qigong, Tai Chi, and countless breathing exercises were born not as martial arts, but as tools to conserve and refine life force. Every gesture was a spark, every inhale a distillation, every exhale a release of impurities. Life itself became ritual. They warned that misuse of these practices could bring harm. Retaining energy without guiding it caused stagnation, leading to frustration and imbalance. Obsession or greed for power led to distortion of spirit. True mastery required purity of heart, moderation, and respect for nature's rhythm. To walk the alchemical path was to balance fire and water, heaven and earth, yin and yang. Over centuries, these teachings traveled in whispers, preserved within lineages of Taoist priests and martial families. They were transmitted from master to disciple through secrecy, ceremony, and testing of character. Only when the student demonstrated maturity and discipline would the hidden formulas be revealed. In this way, the sacred knowledge survived through the ages, shielded from corruption. Today, fragments of this wisdom have resurfaced, translated into modern language and studied by seekers worldwide. What was once veiled in allegory can now be approached with openness, though the essence remains the same. Energy must be conserved, refined, and elevated. Ancient alchemy is not a relic of the past. It is a living art, calling humanity to remember the treasures buried within their own bodies. Chapter 3: The Body as a Temple. The human body, often taken for granted, was revered by ancient masters as the most sophisticated temple ever built. Its walls are bones, its windows are senses, and its chambers are organs working in harmony. Every cell was seen as a priest in constant service to life. Within this sacred architecture, the energy of existence flows silently. To ignore the body is to neglect the temple of spirit. The Taoists described the abdomen as the furnace, where raw essence is collected and refined. Here, in the lower dantian, lies a cauldron of power hidden beneath ordinary perception. It is the foundation of vitality, storing Jing, the primal essence. To preserve it was to keep the fire alive. To waste it was to let the temple collapse. The kidneys, glowing like twin reservoirs, were considered guardians of life force. From them flowed the streams of endurance, sexuality, and renewal. In the language of energy, their strength determined longevity itself. Weak kidneys meant a weakening temple, prone to collapse. Strong kidneys, nourished by essence, fortified the pillars of the body. Modern science confirms part of this wisdom, showing that the endocrine system regulates growth, reproduction, and balance. Hormones, secreted like sacred oils, sustain the vitality of the temple. Each gland, adrenals, thyroid, pituitary, acts as a hidden altar, producing subtle messengers of life. The ancients lacked microscopes, but their intuition was profound. They saw in spirit what science now glimpses in matter. The nervous system was depicted as a network of luminous threads, like golden filigree, running through the temple's walls. Through this web flowed both electricity and spirit, bridging the body and the heavens. When essence was refined into energy, it traveled along these sacred pathways. To keep them open and clear was to allow divinity to circulate within. The spine, rising from the cauldron of the abdomen to the crown, was the temple's sacred staircase. Along it ascended the golden river of sexual energy when properly guided. Each vertebra became a step toward illumination. At the summit, the brain was not just an organ, but the temple's sanctum, where essence became light and thought merged with spirit. The heart was the temple's altar of fire. It glowed with warmth and carried both love and blood to every chamber of the body. Taoists taught that when essence reached the heart, it transformed into emotional balance and magnetic presence. A calm heart was a radiant altar attracting harmony. A restless heart was a fire out of control. The lungs, sacred bellows of the temple, were revered as the rhythm of heaven within man. Each breath was a prayer, each inhale a blessing, each exhale a release. Through deep breathing, energy was purified and the temple walls were strengthened. Breath was the invisible bridge between earth and sky, body and cosmos. The liver was called the general of the temple, commanding the flow of blood and the distribution of energy. When essence nourished it, clarity and vision were abundant. When blocked, anger and stagnation poisoned the halls of the body. To cleanse the liver was to cleanse the temple of shadows. Balance restored order and order restored life. The temple was not a static monument, but a living organism. Its sanctity depended on care, diet, movement and thought. To treat it with negligence was to defile the sacred ground of life. To honor it daily with awareness was to restore its glow. The ancients taught that reverence for the body was reverence for the spirit within. In Taoist alchemy, the temple was not limited to flesh and bone. Around it extended an invisible field, the aura, shimmering like light against parchment. This luminous halo was the energy that radiated from cultivated essence. A strong temple not only stood tall within, but glowed outward, protecting, attracting, and inspiring others. The temple's influence exceeded its walls. To recognize the body as a temple is to awaken responsibility and wonder. It is to see in oneself the architecture of divinity, the furnace of transformation, and the sanctuary of spirit. Every breath, every heartbeat, every pulse of blood becomes sacred ritual. The forgotten temple has always been within, waiting to be remembered. This is the alchemy of embodiment. Chapter 4, the inner transformation. Transformation begins with awareness, the decision to redirect energy rather than lose it. The ancients taught that sexual essence is like water in a reservoir. Stagnant it rots, wasted it drains, but guided it nourishes all of life. To transform energy is to master the river within. The journey begins not with effort, but with intention. Awareness lights the path to change. The first stage was activation, awakening the essence without dispersing it. Through deep breathing in the lower abdomen, subtle warmth would rise like a spark in the furnace. Practitioners described tingling currents, golden rivers moving softly under the skin. This was the birth of the alchemical fire. From silence, vitality awakened. The second stage was recirculation, the art of guiding the current upward. Muscles at the base of the body contracted gently, pushing the essence into the spinal channel. With breath and visualization, the energy rose vertebra by vertebra, ascending toward the crown. This silent ascent was called the Microcosmic Orbit. The body became a temple filled with golden rivers. The third stage was storage and transformation. Once essence reached the higher centers, it was deposited in reservoirs, abdomen, heart, and crown. In the belly, it fueled vitality. In the heart, it created emotional balance. In the head, it awakened clarity. Each treasure was refined, distilled, and preserved. Energy became nourishment for body, mind, and spirit. The masters warned that retention without movement led to danger. Energy trapped in the abdomen became pressure, fire without channel, causing imbalance. They compared it to a dam overflowing until it cracked. True transformation required circulation, constant flow. The river of essence had to move, or the temple would collapse. Equally, the quality of thought shaped the quality of energy. Lust, fear, and anxiety stained the essence, making it heavy and toxic. But serenity, gratitude, and love refined it into golden light. The inner world became a crucible. Intention was the flame, emotion the ingredient, and energy the result. Spirit always reflected the mind that guided it. Balance was the law of inner alchemy. Excessive indulgence drained the temple. Excessive repression hardened it into stone. Taoist masters taught moderation, a rhythm unique to each person. The question was never how much, but how consciously. The wise learned to walk between fire and water, choosing harmony over extremes. Physical strength supported subtle practice. Movements of qigong, breathing and walking in silence prepared the body to contain refined energy. Without a strong vessel, the current overflowed and weakened the temple. The body was the cup, the energy the wine. Both had to be cultivated together, or the nectar would be spilled. Integration was the crown of transformation. The alchemist did not seek escape from the world, but embodiment within it. Daily life became the laboratory, eating, walking, speaking, breathing. Every action was a chance to circulate and refine energy. Alchemy was not only in caves but in kitchens, markets and conversations. Spirit was cultivated in the ordinary. Metaphors abounded. The river irrigating fields, the furnace smelting ore, the pearl polished over time. Each represented the same principle, essence transformed through patience and guidance. The body was the riverbed, the crucible, the pearl itself. Transformation was never instant. It was repetition, refinement and constancy, turning small sparks into eternal fire. The fruits of inner transformation were not abstract, but visible. The skin glowed with youth, the eyes shone with serenity, the voice carried magnetism. Illness retreated, fatigue dissolved, and clarity of mind became constant. The alchemist radiated a presence that could be felt before a word was spoken. This was the silent testimony of mastery. The ancients declared, true immortality is not the denial of death, but the renewal of life. Each day energy is lost, and each day it can be refined. Transformation is the art of turning decline into vitality, fear into wisdom, desire into light. To walk this path is to awaken the immortal within. The temple shines when the river flows. Chapter 5, The Path to Immortality. Immortality, as spoken by the sages, was never about escaping death, but about mastering life. They described it as walking a hidden path, where every step refined essence and every breath extended vitality. This path was not carved in mountains, but within the body itself. To walk it was to live consciously, to master it was to glow with timeless presence. The first step was remembrance, to recall that the essence of life was never external. No elixir, no potion, no treasure could replace the fountain within. Awareness of this truth was the opening of the gate. Without remembrance, the traveler remained lost. With it, the journey began. The second step was conservation, learning to guard the essence as one guards a sacred flame. Each careless act was like spilling drops of golden nectar onto the ground. Each act of discipline was like placing another log on the eternal fire. The path required patience, restraint, and reverence. In conservation, the seed of immortality was preserved. The third step was refinement, the art of transforming raw essence into light. Breath became bellows, the heart a crucible, the mind a mirror polished daily. Energy rose through the spine like molten gold, ascending a secret staircase. With refinement, mortality was no longer decay, but fuel for awakening. The temple burned with luminous fire. The fourth step was integration, carrying the practice beyond caves and temples into the marketplace of life. To eat, speak, and walk with awareness was to turn the ordinary into sacred ritual. The immortal path was not isolation, but embodiment. In laughter, in labor, in silence, the alchemist practiced. Life itself became the altar. Legends tell of masters who glowed with youth even in old age. Their hair silver, yet their eyes radiant, their presence magnetic. Villagers whispered that they had conquered time, but the masters said it was not conquest, only harmony. They had learned to flow with the river of essence, not against it. The Taoists taught that immortality was built on three treasures: Jing, Qi, and Shen. To preserve the essence, to circulate the energy, and to elevate the spirit was the eternal formula. Each treasure fed the next, like stages of a ladder reaching heaven. When united, the body became radiant, the mind luminous, the spirit eternal. Yet they warned against obsession. Those who pursued power rather than balance became consumed by their own fire. Immortality was not domination, but surrender. Not seizing eternity, but aligning with nature's rhythm. The path was walked with humility, moderation, and reverence. Without these, the fire devoured instead of illuminated. The fruits of the path were subtle at first. More energy in the morning, greater calm in the heart, clarity in the mind. Over time, fatigue faded, illnesses retreated, and serenity deepened. The alchemist radiated vitality, not as magic, but as natural consequence. Immortality revealed itself through the art of daily living. The temple of the body became unshakable, muscles strong, breath deep, heartbeat steady, mind serene. This fortress was not built of stone, but of discipline and energy. Each day of practice added a new brick, each moment of awareness another layer of gold. The immortal path was construction, steady and sacred. Beyond the body, the aura expanded, glowing like a field of stars. It protected the practitioner, attracted harmony, and inspired reverence in others. Those who approached felt serenity, as if standing near a sacred fire. The immortal path was not hidden. It radiated outward. Immortality became not isolation, but service to all. The sages concluded, immortality is the art of living fully, not endlessly. It is to refine essence, circulate energy, and awaken spirit each day. It is to breathe as prayer, to act as ritual, to live as offering. In this way, time no longer diminishes, but becomes the ally of growth. The immortal path begins here within you. The journey through forgotten wisdom reveals that the fountain of vitality has always flowed within. What the ancients guarded in secrecy now returns as guidance for a weary modern world. Energy is not myth, but biology elevated into spirit. To remember this truth is to reclaim life itself. The Taoists, alchemists and sages across cultures left us maps disguised as myth. Their symbols spoke of fire, rivers and pearls, but their meaning was one: conserve, refine and transform. The human body is the crucible, breath the flame, and intention the key. With practice, time becomes an ally, not an enemy. True immortality does not lie in endless years, but in radiant presence. It is the glow of health, the serenity of mind, the magnetism of spirit. When energy circulates with balance and love, decay loses its grip. The temple of flesh becomes a vessel of light. The path is not hidden. It begins with each breath, each heartbeat, each choice. To walk it is to live consciously, to treat life as ritual, and to embody the sacred daily. The immortal secret is not beyond reach. It has always been within. The gate is open. The journey is now. If this journey has awakened something within you, support the path. Like this video, subscribe, and activate the bell so you never miss the next revelation. Until we meet again, keep your light alive and your energy flowing. The path continues within you.